Hi everyone, hope you all are doing well, and this is my new video. This is basically for the coding standards and best practices to be followed for coding standards. So I think when the people move from manual testing or testing background to automation testing, there are a lot of small things which we as a testers doesn't know because we work on Java, we learn Java concepts, we do this a lot of things, but the coding basics we doesn't know. This basics is like best practices, like anyone can come and see our code and they understand, okay, he doesn't know the Java because he doesn't follow the basic practices. So instead we can write the code, but yeah, the best practices which has to be followed as a developer, how developers follow, we somehow lack in that, and even this document helped me a lot in upgrading myself in that area as well. So I think this video is for you guys. You can also look into it and see how this will help you. So what is coding standards? Like it's a set of rules and techniques and the best practice, which because a lot of people do a coding, even I see a coding. I have my colleagues who do coding, so they don't have that mindset which they can do. Some people just copy pasting the code, but they doesn't see that their code are reliable or more efficient. Code with minimal errors, because sometimes their code will break another code, or doesn't work in that way. This there are lot of lines of codes, and they doesn't follow the best practices to be followed, like how the method name should be, how your class name should be. It's just because there are a lot of lack of practical knowledge they have it, and that shows that. So they you should always follow a uniform format for like which shows your code is a sophisticated and highly functioning code, so that represents. So advantage of implementing coding standards, like it offers uniformity, because if you do it, like a lot of developers, if you see the developers code, you cannot say that multiple people has written it because they follow that coding standard very well. But whereas if you see the automation tests, there are some people, I'm not targeting everyone, but there are some code even I have encountered those things because we doesn't know when to make private, when to make protected, and we just follow this. We doesn't have that thing. We just make it public. We doesn't think that how we can write the code, like how we can make it private. The scope of a variable or a method. We have to consider the scope also where we are defining it. So yeah, those all things is very important actually, which and how we can reuse the code. The same type of code we are repeating for the same thing. That is also we have to keep in mind. And our code should be detect errors, make it easiest to detect errors, and make a code simpler, more readable, and easier to maintain. So it's gives a faster result to write, and it's you really feel that's honest. And what coding standards and best practices is like what practices we just have to follow. Just few lines of and we write a method. So we write a lot of click events in a one method itself, but we have to see a few lines first, and we should use the appropriate naming conventions so that anyone, as I said, readable, so that anyone can come. For example, you left an organization, someone has to follow your, like someone has to write the code in your framework or the existing code which you have written. Someone else has to write it. So for them to understand, you should use a naming convention which is appropriate, and you should use segment blocks of code in sense actions or into paragraph. Or you can use indentations to mark the beginning and the end control structures. Clearly specify the code between them. So you should not use lengthy functions, right? Ideally, a single function should carry like single methods for 2 or 3 tasks, or maybe a single task. You do not repeat yourself. This is the best principle you should follow. Even your developer also, this is the developer also, or the newly freshers or developers who are starting learning Java from online or anything. So this is the best thing for them. Avoid nesting. There are a lot of nesting we do. So when we have to do for loop, when we have to do if else, we can, instead of if else if, we can use switch. So those all things you should know, like when to use for it, instead of nesting it a lot. If you have only three scenarios you can use that thing, but you have a multiple scenarios. So instead of going if, else, else if, and then else, it's better to use a switch case. And capitalizing SQL special keyword function names to distinguish them from table or columns when you're defining a database connection. So that's when this comes up. So that distinguish, that makes a distinguish thing, that is for the JDBC directions. Avoid long lines. It is easier for humans to read proper lines that are horizontally short and vertically long. Okay. There's some more practices, like don't use a single identifier for multiple purpose. So describe a name to each variable that clearly describe its purpose. Naturally, a single variable can't be assigned with multiple variables or numerous functions, right? This would confuse everyone in reading the code and would make future enhancement more difficult to implement. So always assign a unique variable. This is very important for you. Standardize a header for different modules. So like if you're working on any module, you have to define a module and name of a page, name of a header. Like if you're working on some module, for example, so this is how you should do. These are the things for history of modification. At least name of the module and there is the creation you should mention. Java, there are a lot of Java coding standards as we work on Java. So Java is like a class name should be a capital name. So what happens when you put the like you create a class from the tool, like any of the editor tool. Like for example, if developer like if interviewer asks you to write the code into Notepad. So these are the points which you have. If you're listening it to me, this will really help you guys. If you're always confused what to write and what to not, if you find difficulty in writing any code into the editor or in your Notepad, this is where this is really helpful for you. This is how this is right. So class name should start with a capital letter, for example. And it should be named. It should be named. A class name is a multiple words of the letter. The first letter of the inner word must be capital letter. Okay. So it should be employee details. Okay. Business details, cards details, or cards, and what else? Schools, education, banks. So these should be the name of, but the first name should be capital letter. Java coding stands for interfaces. Interfaces like should start with uppercase letter. Interface name should be adjective. Method name should start with small letter. So this is also, class name should start with capital letter and the method name should start with small letter. And if it has inner word also, so it should start with capital uppercase letter. So for example, get car names, get employee details. So those like starting with the starting alphabet should be small and the rest of the inner word should be capital. And it should be a combination of verb and noun. Okay. Variable. Variable should also start with small letter. For example, we use string, value, employee name, employee salary. So that will be a like integer. String small employee name, string employee salary. So that should be variable, right? Integer x when we use it, right? So that will be small. And yeah, the inner word should be started with. For constant, so constants contain only uppercase letter. Constant we doesn't use it, but yeah, these are the values which developers use. So usually now. So I think that's all from my end, guys. I think this video is really helpful for me, and I think those who are preparing for the interview, that video also helpful for you. So just one thing is how to create an interface, how to create an abstract. Those also you should remember. Like editor will help you in many ways.